All right, what's up, guys? Thursday the 18th, and as is tradition, Netflix kicked off earnings for the big boys tonight. Now, for what it's worth, it's not really a heavily weighted stock. It's only about 2% of the QQQ, in comparison to Microsoft at 9%, Apple at 7.5%, Nvidia at 6%, Amazon and Meta at 5 rather, and Google at 5%. So not a very heavily weighted stock, and then the S&Ps, it's not even a top 15 holding. So as far as the overall impact on the market, it might be a bit minimal, but nonetheless, we are gapping down here to about 580, which is about a 5% dumper. That is within the expected move. They priced in an expected move of about $50, and we're only down about 30, which would basically mean if you bought the calls or the puts, you're a bit crap out of luck for tomorrow. You go and get hit with the IV crush. But one thing that I like to look at before earnings, do we have any squeezes? And more importantly, do we have any squeezes on the bigger time frames? Netflix had a 5-minute, a 30-minute, a 1-hour, a 2-hour, a 4-hour, a daily, and a 2-day squeeze. So the gap down here to 580, pretty good chance, maybe as early as tomorrow morning, we wake up and that daily squeeze here is fired short, which would imply any bounces under 590, any bounces under 600, you might want to look to short them. And then next week, we got a bit more action. Tesla on the 23rd, Meta on the 24th, Microsoft on the 25th, Amazon on the 30th, Apple on May 2nd, Google on the 25th, Nvidia on the 22nd, and AMD on the 30th. All kinds of heavy hitters. So the one that I'm most interested in has got to be Tesla here. And as far as squeezes into earnings, we got a daily squeeze here that just fired short. And not a good-looking daily chart by any stretch of the imagination. Momentum crosses back under the zero line. We've got a fresh daily sell signal with a negative 12 here on the big 3 score. No bueno. Bigger picture, and I think more importantly, the monthly squeeze. And whether you're looking at a 15-minute squeeze, a daily squeeze, or a monthly squeeze, when they fire, they tend to kick off a push into about 2.5 to 3 average true range moves above or below that 21 EMA. For the monthly chart here, we've got that +3 level all the way up here around 350, 360, and the -3 level all the way down here at about $60. Now, take into consideration, inside the monthly squeeze, during the compression phase, they've taken that thing from 300 to 150. If they can cut that thing in half during the squeeze, should that thing gap down after earnings, that might kick off a flush down to about $100. Maybe a bit lower, but I think $100 might be the sweet spot. It's a big round number, a big sexy number, a big psychological level, and it also happens to be your previous support. So I think for next week, if they can't gap that thing up in a big fashion after earnings, Tesla might be gearing up for another $40, $50 lower. And I don't think right after earnings, but bigger picture, over the course of 3, 4, 5, 6 months, there might be a path here for a move down to $100. So keep an eye on that. And the structure is not the greatest. Momentum trades below the zero line. Price is below the 21, below the 50, and below that trailing stop. And now we're getting that 21 EMA, 50 SMA bear cross. No bueno for the bulls. So we'll see. If earnings are phenomenal and they gap it up, that might stop the bleeding. If earnings are horrendous and they gap it down, I think Tesla's in for a bit of a dumper. So that is that. And then for the overall market here, it's been a bit more of the same. QQQ fired its daily squeeze short. The S&Ps have fired their daily squeeze short. And I think any bounce under that daily 50, you keep on shorting it. Potentially all the way down to the weekly 21 EMA. At the moment, we are short Cisco, which has been a little bit slow. And then today we got short Roblox. I think a good-looking short setup. Sell signals on the daily chart down to the 15-minute. Today, that daily squeeze just fired short. and we got a 2-day squeeze and a weekly squeeze setting up. If they can keep the price under the 200 SMA here, I think you're looking for a move down to about 34 bucks. Market willing. But all right, y'all. Earnings season is underway. Netflix coming out with a bang to the downside. And you got a lot coming up next week. Tesla, Meta, Microsoft, and Google on the board for next week. But all right, as always, thank you for watching. Hope you found it helpful, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Adios.